Hello, 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 everybody. So, this ended up being like one of my gym membership, whereby I joined in January with all the vroom vroom. It's like, I'm gonna be talking, I'm gonna be coming here, good and bad, I'm gonna tell you everything. Yeah, that's what I was saying to myself, Anna. you know. So, yeah. I don't think there's only 6 people that are following me or 6 people that have been seeing my views. So hey, so that's why I can be like, I don't really care really. I don't know. One day when I'm 15 old, I can look at it and think, oh, how silly. Oh, this is what was happening in my life. So I think when I last came here, don't worry about my hair. It's the bewitching hour, as I said before. It's about, what time is it now? I think it's about 1:30 in the morning. I can't sleep. And then I remember that, like, yeah, in January, about this time in 2004, I decided to do this. They do Vega. What happened with that? Wow. Well. Um, Actually, 2024 has been a bit, because I think when I started, my long-term contract just ended. And I was in that phase of like, oh my God, how am I going to survive? Or what am I going to do? I was so excited. I was like, yeah, And I think parts and parcel of 2024 was very much about the realization that I wasn't very far away from 50, and you get that kind of reflection of like, what am I doing with my life, and it came to me as the whole ending of my contract came to me more as a welcome break, like almost kind of needing a gap year, and I think most of my adult life, I started kids quite young. So at 21, I'd already had my first child. Just had when I turned 21. So my life really has been about raising my children. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I ended up being a single mom. So, which meant that to maintain my kids, not lifestyle as such, but because, when I first had my breakup, we had a mortgage. So I had to maintain that because I was thinking roof over my kids' heads, the kids still need to be fed and all that kind of thing. So my hustling and my constant working was to continue working so that I could maintain that for them, maintain that kind of stability of having a home to come to, having food in the house, and for them to carry on with their school life or whatever. So my one salary was just about enough to cover like the mortgage. So I needed to take a second job or third job or agency or whatever. So that's where the working double came through, because, in my head I was like thinking, I've gone from 2 income and, now I'm on 1 income, of course there was an option of like whether I go on benefits, but at that time I think the council or didn't have the facility, or if you had a mortgage then you couldn't have any benefits, so I couldn't apply for benefits. So yeah, so I just had to work, But somewhere along there, I realized, I think, where I was working as a single mom, because I used to work in a management place, like a industry, like food, food, food factory, like greenhouses and stuff. And it was very male orientated. It was very male orientated. So that meant that when I separated from my husband, the things that I used to do before my separation, because when I was with my husband, I was able to be flexible. I was able to stay longer. I was able to come early, and but then when I had the kids and I was a single mom, nursery is only open from 8 to 6. We had to start production at like 6 o'clock. So to set up the machines and to take the orders, you had to be there at 5. So there was all those kind of things that used to happen, and or like you have to stay a bit later until production ends, or like, all those things. And I think as a single mom, there wasn't that flexibility. And before those days, there wasn't a lot of like safeguards for mothers or for children. I remember that I was still breastfeeding, and I had to like go into the bathrooms and express and all those kind of things. So I then had to make a decision of changing career, of getting into a career that was child friendly, flexible, and yeah, so I ended up and to be able to do that, I recognized that I couldn't afford to look after my children and maintain shelter for them or food for them. And at that time I was looking at the money of an HCA, and I was like thinking, I can't do that, of a healthcare assistant. So I did what I do of go hard or go home. So I started working for NHS like in the January, just to feel what it's like. By April, I was applying for a place to go to university. And by September, I started university. My oldest son was 7. My youngest son was 18 months. I still had a mortgage. The fact that I'm a nurse and I'm still practicing. Literally, I think I got my knowledge from osmosis, because the way I used to sleep. I literally used to sleep through all lectures because I used to work nights. And I'm just looking at my. Sorry, I'm being distracted by my own self. I think I got a mustache. I think it's menopausal, isn't it? It's more prevalent with this light. Is it? Oh, I think it's the shadow. I don't know. Sorry, I digressed. What was I saying? Yeah. So I went back to university as a second career. So that's how I ended up becoming a nurse. And yeah, so where was I said? What was I saying? I was just saying about, yeah, like last year. So being a nurse was a job that I needed to help me maintain my kids. So I probably spent the last 15 to 20 years working for my kids. Now my kids are grown. My last born is in the last year of her. She will be she's in year 10 now. So, and I think when 2024 came through, I was feeling that this might be an opportunity for me to do something for me, to really put something for me. And, PM Home was the one. there was expectation of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take over the world. You can be seeing PM in all Max and Spencer's and Tesco's, and I'm gonna be the next Cadbury. But yeah, so it didn't happen as it was supposed to, but it was good. It was good. It gave me an opportunity to learn about me, to really put myself forward, because when you decide to start a business and decide to go in front of people, you are literally selling to people, to say like, you know what, yeah, I've done a product and you would like it. Opportunity. So I think on my last post, I just received news from John Lewis to say that they had accepted my brand for me to do pop-up shops in John Lewis. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I mean, a door had closed and I was like, oh my God. There was an element of like, I was trying to keep myself cool, but there was an element of like, really, Precious, what are you going to do? And so 2024 became a PM home year. I did John Lewis, I did Ideal Home Show, I did BBC Good Food with the Cakes. My PM home things grew from having two items, so I only had two products. I only had cushions and oven mitts, to having like 15, including dog beds. And I literally just put myself into it. I literally put something into it. It was exciting. It was challenging. It was hard. Sometimes I would go to these markets or to these fairs and I'll sell out and I'll be like, oh, wow. And sometimes I'll go to this market and I'm like, yo, I didn't even make any money here. But it was, I'm glad I did it. And I think part of it was like, I'm beginning, I don't know whether it's menopause or something, I'm beginning to notice and see sort of kind of my body breaking down. Not breaking down as such, but things that never were there. For example, like muscle pain, ache pain, knee pain. That was never a thing for me. But now I'm beginning to notice that. Beginning to notice fatigue and being tired, but it might be all menopausal really, because I am getting to that age. Brain fog. So in my head, I think at that time I was like thinking, I could carry on being the serious adult working my nursing job, which I feel it's my job. I'm glad that I enjoy it to a certain point, but it's not my passion. And I was like thinking I could wait until I'm 60 and then start. But then I'm like thinking, look at my body and the way I put through my body, like at 60, would I have the energy to do the things that I've been doing, like the markets, the really going full throttle, So 2024 allowed me to do that. Allowed me to do that. So that's what I'm really, really grateful for. I didn't end up where I had predicted myself to end up. But then at the same token, I'm glad I did it. PM Home still on, PM Bakers is still going on. There's still things going on. But I also learned a lot. I learned like, okay, I've done it this way, but I might have been a bit more premature. And I think in business, you gotta like analyze yourself. And I feel like there was an element of being premature in like the big launches, like the big things. There were certain things like the foundations of certain things that I didn't really have in place that I probably should have put in place before I did that. But it is for me just taking an opportunity to do certain things like that. So I'm glad I did it. So now we're coming up to we're in 2020, 25. Today's the 8th. and 8th of January. Yeah, I'm not. So this year, my whole thing is not to promise myself things, not to put myself under pressure, not to say, oh yeah, this year we're going to do this. No. This year we're just being. This is the year of just being. You know, do what you need to do and just be, one foot in front of the other. You know, this is also the year of, I feel it's my year to do some adulting, because I know like last year I was playing. So this year it's about putting certain structures in place. You know, I've started thinking about my pension, about thinking about how far do I want to work. I know probably people have been thinking about this for ages and the things in place, but I've never had that opportunity to be in that brain space because I was raising my children. You know, everything about me was about survival mode. But I think now I've come into that point whereby I'm like thinking, you know, it's not about survival mode. It's about me now, because the kids are growing. They're starting their own families. I'm a grandma now. That's something that happened in 2024. Well, not in 2024. It happened like before that. But I'm a grandma now. So I'm beginning to look at things that matter a lot more and reflect about, like, you know, what my retirement might look like and how would I want it to look like, you know, and when do I want it to be. So I think there is that element of reflection, a different element. So there's a bit of adulting, but there is a bit of like, now I'm working for me and I'm getting myself ready for retirement. I'm getting myself ready for a different phase. And yeah, so to others, it might seem like, oh, you've done a step back, you're not doing your PM. I am still doing my PM, but I think at the moment I just need to I don't know, move. Just move, but not to be so focused on where I'm moving to. I think that's almost going to contradict myself because I'm talking about retirement and whatever. But I think rather than making, what I mean is that I don't want to make any New Year's resolutions and say like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Like, like, oh yeah, I'm going to be coming here and telling you the good and the bad and the ugly. Yeah, that went to the waste bin. Yeah. Actually, it went to the waste bin because I was on, I don't know, something happened and I saw this thing, or somebody said something about moving quietly. You know, just move and then people will be surprised when things happen. So I started doing things because at that time I knew about John Lewis, and I just thought to myself, okay, just move quietly, you know. And but then I realized that, you know, yes, I do get the moving quietly thing and just do and then move quietly and then people will be surprised by what happens. But I feel that there are certain people that are able to do that. And there's certain people, and I think like I'm like a light bulb. So you can't, I mean, you can switch off a light bulb. Oh, that doesn't even make sense. Well, yeah, I feel like I'm light. I glow. I'm there to glow and blow and whatever. And probably some people will get something from my storytelling. But it's like, why dim your light? You know, what makes you feel happy? It makes me feel happy to express, to talk about myself, to tell my story, because I always feel that, you know, sometimes when people hear your story, and especially if they're going through things, and it just almost kind of feels like, oh my goodness me, I'm going through this a really hard time. But when you hear somebody and what they've had to go through, you then realize that actually, you know what, yeah, this is not just only happening to me, but it must be happening to others. And, you know, getting yourself into that position to know that, you know, and I do it with like, okay, I'm a bit grandiose, so I'm a bit crazy. So I'll look at things like Louis Vuitton or all these designers, and I'll say to myself, like, even like Tomato, Hanes, and the big brands that we kind of like wouldn't think of, how would we be without them. But like, I always think that somebody started somewhere. Somebody decided to make ketchup in their kitchen or in their garage or somewhere. Somebody started something, you know. It might be that what I am doing, it might be I am putting a seed, and my grandchildren will be like, PM Home will be like, oh, established in 2020, and this will be like in 3030 or something like that. You know, I mean, you see companies that have been established 100 years ago. And I'm like thinking at the moment, whatever I'm doing, I'm just do, as long as you do you, you know. So, and you know, I always feel that sometimes people say that there was, you know, what was that Ricky Gervais thing about when he was in grieving about his wife, and there's a saying in that program which says, like, you know, sometimes we plant trees that the is it the shadows, not the shadows, the shade that we will never sit under, sometimes, you know, that kind of a thing. So yeah, so I thought, oh, let me come back and say my piece. So I don't know, just feel like talking really. Yeah, you know, I can't promise that I'm gonna be saying. Now I'm repeating myself. So now when I'm starting to talk like this and mumbling and doing all these things, it means that it's time. It's enough. So I will have to say Tara for now, and then I'll have to speak to you guys when I'm a bit more making sense.